We are here at the Law Enforcement Memorial in Augusta, and we are in the preparation stage of lifting the tablets out of the way. We've been removing some of the material that's they've been set with, and we are going to now just cover a few of the things, talk about a few of the things that we've uncovered here at the base of the slabs. We'll first talk about the slab here at the extreme right. It's fairly typical of what we've been finding. You can see right in here from the edge, we found the boards apparently that was on the crate, along with the cut-off piece of the metal strapping that generally secures the crates. Of course, this is causing rust to come up, and this is probably the rust we were seeing earlier on the outside of the masonry that had been bevel part that had been put up here. We've also got a lot of deteriorating masonry underneath, and as we know, this is project's only been in here for a couple of years, and the masonry is all deteriorating from it. You can stand here and rock these slabs back and forth. There's been quite a few different types of masonry used. This looks like possibly a pour rock of some kind, which is a good product, but not meant to do this kind of work. It's not meant for this. As we moved down the slab here, this is to the left of the extreme slab to the right. We find another piece of board under there that's already decaying, and right, you know, it would have been quite inconceivable with all the wood that we're finding under these slabs that these slabs could have possibly sat here without moving. The movement has been a large amount. The slabs get saturated with water, they expand, then the freeze-thaw cycle comes along and expands them even further if they're wet. Therefore, we've got a lot of movement. There's no possible way that the joining material wouldn't have broken up and these slabs wouldn't have moved. We are round to the back of what we'll call the slab number 3 from right to left on the front, and we find a wooden roll in here, approximately 1.25 inches or so in diameter, or 1 inch, and another one further over here on this end. It seems that this was used, apparently the slab to my left was set first, and that the rolls were put under here, and then the slab was rolled to the left, and the pins put in. And apparently, not knowing how to remove the rolls, they just sawed them off and covered them up with cement. Here again, expansion, contraction of these rolls are going to cause the memorial to move, not to mention the wood stains that are going to penetrate up through into the granite. And this is the case on all the wood that's under there. It's not considered an acceptable practice in any way to leave wood under granite to collect moisture and stain. All wood has a certain amount of acid in it, and you get it wet and the acid is going to transfer to the stone. As we move on down here again we see a board, and then some plastic pieces of plastic had been placed under there as spacers, apparently on top of the board. Sort of a useless gesture when you think about the fact that the plastic is just going to sink into the decaying wood along here. And then we have the same thing on this next slab, only we don't have the plastic, or at least I can't see any sticking out there. However, there is a space. This was an interesting area of this last slab here. As you can see, they left one of their tools in here, a piece of plastic, a piece of wood, and then the metal strapping and some more of it down here that was under it. Here again, that this is just going to rust and create problems, and you know, it's it does have all the appearance of a unprofessional type setting job. We're back here this morning at the Law Enforcement Memorial in Augusta, and we have already taken the slabs off. We're getting them prepared here to put back on, but first I'd like to show you what we've found here. As we look up here at the end of this tablet, and this was the second to the end tablet, we have used a steel rod. You can see where it's already started to rust, and it's going to continue to rust. Interesting to note that there was absolutely no joining material in any of the pins. Down here on this particular one, down at the bottom, we have a stainless steel one, smaller size. This one is 1/2 inch, which is fine. The steel one is 5/8. This dowel would have eventually expanded, and the corrosion would have expanded in the hole and eventually put pressure on the granite, and probably someday way up the line we would have seen a cracked piece of stone where the steel dowel was. In effect, I don't believe these were doing much good, because they were, you know, there's no joint material in there. There's nothing to stabilize them. Here on the foundation, we have a mishmash of a lot of different items that were put under here. The joint, for all practical purposes, was about 1 inch high. A slimmer joint would have been preferable. However, let's take a look and see what we have underneath this, or what was trying to hold these in place. Right down here on this side, we have a lot of wood and steel and plastic, and the mortar that they tried to work underneath. I think the major problem here was steel that was causing the rust that we've seen on the front of the memorial and the masonry. We have wood that soaks up water and moisture. It expands and contracts. It was bound to cause the joint material to break up. There's just absolutely no way it could have held, and of course the wood's starting to rot. We're getting wood stains in the stone in just these couple of short years that it's been here. Here we have more of the same, the wood, the plastic, more wood. If you go along here, this is the whole length, every slab. This was the second slab down here. Have more of the same there. Down to the other end of the second slab, and we have the same there. On this third slab, we have a little different situation, and I'll explain it as we go along here. Let's take a look down here. We have a wooden roll, and we have another wooden roll over here. It would appear that they was not sure how to work the dowels into the end, and they wasn't sure how to slide the die, so they put the wooden rolls under it and they rolled it into position and after that they apparently didn't want to or didn't know how to take the rolls out, so they sawed them off and covered them up with cement. It's a situation I've never happened to come across before, but it I suppose is not surprising. Just to summarize what we've been doing here, we have moved the tablets out of the way of the foundation. We're going to proceed now to clean up the granite. We're going to clean up the foundation and grind a new surface on it, and epoxy fill the holes that are in the granite so they won't be a problem. And then we're going to, this afternoon, should be ready to put the slabs back in place. Yep, go ahead, clean it up. Well, we've finally got the tablets all back into place. They're not secure yet, but we've got them in place. You've seen what was happening before we put the grooves into the concrete. We leveled the concrete foundation off. We cut grooves in them. The grooves are to give a better bonding surface for the epoxies to the concrete foundation. We also ground any rust or off the bottoms of the slabs and any debris that was left on them. We cleaned that off, so we have a good bonding surface there. They've all been leveled into place. We wedged them up, and the next step will be to inject the epoxy underneath to secure them at the bottom. We will, after that is done and the epoxy's hardened, we'll be ready to put in a dimonic, which is a modified polymer seal around the bottom, similar to what we did on the feature part of the memorial. And plus we will be putting some steel clamps in at the top. They won't be visible, but they'll become a permanent part of the tablets. And this should be enough to keep everything solid for many years. The next step after that, of course, will be for the foundation people to come in, the concrete people. They'll tear up this slab and put in a new one.